Hello again, Ian Stokey with Mastermind Games, back for more Malifaux. This time, Barbaros. Blood Red 09003. I liked how this turned out when I did it on the Cherub last time, so we'll do this for the Nephilim. Barbaros was Lilith's henchman. I hear he switched from Neverborn to Outcasts, but until I verify that by actually getting my hands on some of the 3rd edition stuff, I won't be able to. I'll just be doing him as Neverborn the tags, but when he was a terror tot, he was captured by the guild and put into a fighting pit. Illegally run, of course. So maybe not necessarily the guild, but someone of status in Malifaux. These pits, while illegal, were left alone under the former Governor General, in part because he was a patron. And during his time there, Barbaros was mystically crippled so that he would never grow as he should. So, technically, with his experience, he should be a mature Nephilim by now, but he's stuck in a hampered juvenile state perpetually because of what was done to him. And his overlords in the fighting pits trained him and forced him to use human weaponry. And when he got out, he joined up with Lilith and put the skills he learned to good use for his kin and his queen. So, this is pretty close to what a juvenile Nephilim, or a young Nephilim, looks like, the adolescent state. Barbaros's claws and fangs are stunted. His wings don't actually function. But he does have this big blade, and he is proficient with it. Okay. That's decent coverage, so I'm going to let that dry before moving on. Yeah, maybe a little more on the left leg here. Okay, moving on a bit. Okay, this is dry enough to work with, so Yellowed Bone 09143. Get some horns, fangs, and claws here. Kinda at a pile, so it's not completely dry, I guess, but it's still dry enough I can work with it. Start with the hooves here. So the Nephilim definitely do bring the image of the classical demon or devil. And as Malifaux and Earth are something of conjoined twins, and humans and Neverborn have passed between the two worlds through smaller, lesser breaches long before the main breach was ever opened, it's likely that the Nephilim may have inspired demons in religions of Malifaux's alternate Earth. Carefully picking out the claws on his right hand here. Teeth. He's got a thumbnail showing on his left, holding his weapon. There's a name for it, I just can't think of what it is right now. Starts with an M. I think it's a South American weapon in origin. Basically a club lined with spikes or blades. But yeah, some of that red on the inside of the wing is still drying, so. carefully picking those out. And those horns. And then fur brown with some leather. That is not mixed thoroughly enough. I'll need to give that a pretty good shake. Much better. Newer pots of paint are going to be more difficult to work with because who knows how long they've been on the shelf before you buy them. So will likely require extra mixing. So we'll get the underside of the gauntlet connecting straps. Like, let's see here. This is not as clearly defined as I would like here, but this strap goes under the arm. Okay. And then pick out his loincloth. And he's also got sort of a thong on to accommodate the tail he's got, which I believe on young Nephilim, the actual model, it's supposed to be longer, but on Barbaros it's stunted from his forced de-evolution, or whatever they did to him. It's kind of vague. And then the grip on his weapon. Okay. Gonna let that dry for a bit before moving on, but that's pretty good progress. Okay, I'm doing something different with my lighting, seeing if that helps. But, uh-oh, things are moving around on me. Dark Elf Skin 09164. Cutting the hair, trying not to hit the horns I did earlier. We'll go ahead and pick out his tail in this color. So, well, tusses. What I think would be his ankle joints by the hooves. And plate mail metal. I think I'm definitely going to play around with the positioning of this second light a lot more, because that's almost painful to me, like physically painful. Alright, getting the gauntlet. This one is a army painter color, so that does have a different amount of water needed to thin it out properly. Yeah, this new light where I've got it is actually kind of blinding me. So, get the pommel of the weapon, and that is too thick right in there. Now, something interesting in the concept art is it shows him with a scimitar. So at some point I believe they changed it to this for whatever reason. Okay. Shield Brown 09161. I need to take my time, but I also want to hurry up because what this new light's doing to me. I am very sensitive to lights. Excuse me. Way back in high school, I got hit in the eyes twice with a Class 1 laser pointer. So it's lucky I didn't go blind, literally. Woodstain Brown 09160. But I am more susceptible to bright lights than most other people are. Light that is uncomfortable to most people, to me, it actually becomes painful. And if I ever get hit in the eyes with even a weaker Class 2 laser, which are used in the hand scanners at my day job, which happens more often than I like to think about, I can be in incredible pain for up to 14 hours. Feels a lot like a brain freeze, only much more intense. There's nothing I can do about it. I have to live with this the rest of my life, just because some assholes in high school thought it'd be fun to brutalize me. Okay. That's base coats. I'm sensed I can start shading. Okay. Trying something new with the direction of this lighting. It's not in my eyes as much. I think it's helping to focus a little. But I've got some sharp shadows here, so Blackened Steel 09205. So with shading, you want to thin your paint out into a wash, using generally 1 part water to 1 part paint. Carefully apply that to the armor. And the pommel of the weapon. See it much better now. The light's on the model and not so much in my eyes. That helps immeasurably. And also I'm using the side of the brush as much as anything else. And Dark Elf Shadow 09163. I want to generally avoid shading adjacent areas, at least simultaneously. Otherwise the paints will blend in. Of course, if you want that to happen, you can get some interesting effects. So, something you might want to experiment with, but just be aware of what it could do. And I'm going to need to let that dry. I'm going to need at least 2 more sessions to shade it fully. Alright, next, stained ivory, 09142. Yeah, this new light I've got is incredibly harsh. I'm okay with it as long as I don't keep it in my face, but that in mind. Not convinced it's fixing any of the focusing issues either, but I'll just see what happens when I'm done. So, thinning out the stained ivory, cutting the hooves. And the claws, fangs. Getting front and back. Horns. Trying not to let him get into the hair there. Notice I'm bracing my dominant hand I'm painting with the fingers of my offhand. Ruddy leather 09109. A little more stained ivory on the underside of that horn there. Bit much there. Getting the straps. Alright. Let that dry and move on. Okay. Assuming my camera plays nice, and it's okay, maybe? Alright. Highlight and detail, matte black. No. No, I forgot completely. I'm still, boy, losing my mind. Well, I still need the matte black. Rosy shadow, 09067. I thought I was up to highlight and detail already, but I am not. It's been a very rough week. I found out that my friendly local game store could very well be going out of business soon, so that's been a serious blow to me. I'm still processing that. So, Rosy Shadow 09067 there. Yeah. This has been a terrible year for me. It really has. Gauntlet on the wings. So, well, this color scheme on the flesh is a sort of prototype for what I think I'm going to do with Lord Chompybits when I get to him. I think I will modify it for that particular character. But this works well for the Nephilim. It's odd, it's disturbing. And perhaps, and it's human enough to make it even more so by introducing a bit of the familiar into something that one would normally consider monstrous. It's been a few days since I did the last clip because just one thing after another. I'll probably slow down on these videos a little bit because I've been pushing myself way too hard between this, Mastermind games, and everything else I've got going on. I need to pace myself a little better. I am trying to get my painting queue mostly cleared by the new year. But once I do, there's going to be a slowdown. I'll still be painting models, but instead of having this massive pile to get through, I'll be painting as I get them. I'm trying to avoid the hairy bits on the knees and ankles. Okay. Woodstain Brown 09160. And getting the wood. And now the matte black to shade the mud with, using 2 to 3 parts water for 1 part paint. That is too thick right there, so a little more water to mix out. Looks like the shade on the flesh is going into the down the ankles and the base of it, but you know what? I'm going to just let that blend and roll with it. So, okay. Now shading's done, so once all this is dried up, I can highlight in detail. Okay. After that kerfuffle earlier, everything's okay. So matte black again to get the eyes. Oh boy. And doing this as a base coat, just carefully filling in. I think I put a little too much water in there, so I'm going to have to give it a minute to dry before I start highlighting. But go ahead and take a little Dark Elf Shadow 09163 and touch up the back of the head there. I did this in the shade before. I'm not going to do that this time. So I think I might need a different, or not so much a different, but a second light from the other side somehow that doesn't blind me. I think I can figure out how to make that happen, but need to get a few things moved around first. That's not bad. So I'm going to let that dry before I move on, but we're getting there. Okay, Now I can highlight. So using a dry brushing technique, Rosy highlight 09069. Making sure I'm not dropping hundreds of frames a second. Taking a ragged feathered brush, where's a good one? This one. So something pretty beat up like this will be what you need. No water, straight paint only. Rub on a paper towel till it looks like there's nothing left. Let's get that out of the way. And lightly dusting the area to be affected, going against any sharp edges. Refreshing paint as needed. So, definitely getting a strong backlight here. So, I am thinking if I put a second light like this on the opposite side, that should balance it out. Yeah, definitely a nice disturbing color because of how close it is to an actual human skin tone as opposed to being completely different, mind you. Next, let's see here. Creamy Ivory 09144. So far I'm good on the frame rate. And let's see. You want your brush completely dry, so I am switching freely. Since I have several that are suitable. And my focus is on the most readily visible areas. This one might be just about shot. Might have to retire it. Okay. Dark Elf Highlight 09165. And next, Burnt Orange 09111. Which is plugged up. So, paperclip. I'm hearing funny noises from my computer, so let's make sure I'm not dropping 1,000 frames a second. So far I'm good, I only dropped 2 in this segment. I often end up with a lot more drop frames than that. And I think I just butchered the English language there. Do a little bit on the underarm. I forgot to shade that on camera, but I took care of it off camera. It happens sometimes. I wouldn't worry too much about it. Okay, next. Okay. True Silver 09207. Let's see. Go a little bigger for this. Shine up that arm guard. This is moving around enough to make me nervous, but I think we'll be okay. That's everything on Barbaros himself. Shield Brown 09161. Give the mud a bit of work. And Driftwood Brown 09162. Okay, still good on frames. Last step, matte black again. Which keeps sticking to my lid for some reason. And flathead brush. And just going over the edge. Going up to, but trying not to go over the basing. If you're using flock or sand, you'll do this before applying that. While I don't use flock or sand for Malifaux, I do use it for Warhammer 40,000 and War Machine, so the ends of those videos will typically have something on technique of flocking. And that's it. Barbaros. Got one more set of models in this box set. I'll be switching to Relic Knights for probably 2 videos before going back to Malifaux. Until then, I am Ian Stuckey with Mastermind Games, signing out.